So what was the Democratic response to Julian Assange being arrested? Hi, thanks for watching. Today I want to discuss the Democratic candidate's response to Julian Assange. See, after the big Russia story is a big, nothing burger, Julian Assange being arrested is probably the biggest story of the year. This happened early yesterday. And so I want to talk about the response of the Democratic candidates. I gave them an entire day to see what their response on Twitter would be to this story that's really, really important in my opinion. And spoiler alert, almost all of them had nothing to say. This is really pathetic, in my opinion. Real quick, I'm going to run through all the candidates and what was more important than talking about Julian Assange. Amy Klobuchar tweeted that she's going to bring decency and dignity back to the White House. Bernie talked about corporations not paying any federal income taxes. That's an important thing. No mention of Assange. Beto found time to tweet, "Diversity is our strength." Cory Booker, the super genius, thanked some people for phone banking for him. Kristen Gillibrand tweeted about National Pet Day. I didn't even know it was National Pet Day. Hickenlooper put out a tweet about hockey. Inslee put out a story that, it's a local Portland story. Forget impeaching Trump, voting him out is better. Castro had nothing to say. Kamala Harris tweeted that she stands in solidarity with the thousands of Stop and Shop workers on strike. Well, she doesn't actually stand in solidarity, but she tweets in solidarity. Marianne Williamson tweets, "The issue isn't to bring down a president, the issue is to lift a country up." Wayne Massam tweets a picture of a huge meeting that he had with some campus Democrats. Mayor Pete tweets a story that was written by Wired Magazine about him. Eric Swalwell, I don't even know who this is, he tweets, "I know nothing about WikiLeaks," which is a quote from real Donald Trump. "They sure know a lot about you." So he makes a joke, I guess, or a dig at the president, but he still doesn't comment on it himself. Tim Ryan tweets that he's running for president. Okay. Elizabeth Warren responds to a Vox article. Andrew Yang tweets his NBA playoff predictions, which seem to be pretty reasonable. The only two candidates that said anything, the first was John Delaney put out a tweet and a statement on Julian Assange saying that he should be extradited to the U.S. and tried for the charge that he's allegedly assisted in hacking into government systems. I think that anybody that has looked into this accusation knows that it is bunk, but at least John Delaney did put out a statement about one of the biggest stories of the year. I disagree with what he said, and I will not be supporting his candidacy, but at least he had the guts to put something out. And that brings me lastly to Tulsi Gabbard. She tweeted, "The purpose of arresting Julian Assange is to send a message to the people, especially journalists, to be quiet and don't get out of line. If we, the people, allow the government to control us through fear, we are no longer free, we are no longer America." And she went on Jake Tapper to talk about it. Here's what she had to say.
WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange arrested in London on charges of conspiracy to hack U.S. government computers, which contain classified information. Joining me now to talk about this and more, Democratic presidential candidate Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii. Congresswoman, aloha. Thanks for joining us.
Aloha, Jake. Good to see you.
So you served 2 tours of duty in the Middle East. You're currently a major in the Army National Guard. Assange, along with Chelsea Manning, spread classified information that prosecutors at Manning's trial claimed could have brought harm to U.S. service members in Iraq and Afghanistan. Do you agree with that? And what do you think about Assange's extradition and prosecution in the U.S.?
Look, over time, there hasn't been any proof that that has been brought to bore. And what we have seen is that so much of the information that's been released has informed the American people about actions that were taking place that they should be aware of. It provided transparency around issues both related to civil liberties as well as actions that our military was taking in the Middle East that they should not have been. So really, I think what's happening here is some form of retaliation coming from the government saying, hey, this is what happens when you release information that we don't want you to release. And I think that's why this is such a dangerous and slippery slope, not only for journalists, not only for those in the media, but also for every American, that our government can and has the power to kind of lay down the hammer to say, be careful, be quiet, and fall in line. Otherwise, we have the means to be able to come after you.
So you don't think that he should have been extradited, and you don't support his prosecution in the U.S.?
I think the charges about hacking, look, those can and should be worked out in the court of law. My point is that I think there's a bigger issue at play here. There's a reason why the Obama administration chose not to extradite and prosecute Assange, because they understood the danger. They understood the danger of the government coming in and controlling essentially what information is and is not being released. We can go back to the release of the Pentagon Papers as an example. We can look to how the American people have benefited from some of this information being released. So I think we've got to look at it within this larger context here and make sure that we understand what's at stake and actually the danger of what happens when we have people in government, whether it's this administration or a future administration, basically saying, hey, look, we can call WikiLeaks a foreign intelligence agency. We can designate an individual as a foreign asset or this or that, simply because they don't like the information that's being published or they don't like the things that you're saying.
So there you have it. All the Democratic candidates, only one, I think, showed any leadership and put out a statement about one of the biggest stories of the year. That was Tulsi Gabbard. I find it pathetic that the rest of the Democratic field is keeping quiet about this important story. It shows that they do not have any guts, or maybe they don't have an opinion. In both cases, that's not very good. They need to do better. And what's also interesting is all those candidates that have nothing to say, they seem to get a lot more press coverage than Tulsi Gabbard. Makes you wonder. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Peace. Help me reach my goal of 1 million. Make that 4,000 subscribers by hitting the like button and subscribing.